I'm Colin Menke, a project development advisor with Custom Built Design Remodeling, and in this video, I'm going to take a crack at answering some of the most commonly asked questions we get here at Custom Built. So one question that we often get is, what's my first step towards getting my project started? And your first step is going online, going to our website, callcustombuilt.com, and filling out the online form. That gives us some preliminary information, and you should expect to hear from one of us project development advisors within 48 hours of you filling that form out. That's your first step towards getting your project off the ground here with Custom Built. I often have conversations with clients, especially at the early stages, and they're curious about this design build thing. They're asking, do I really need a design build firm to take the project on? And if you're looking to get a project done, it's important to weigh the investment that you're making. It's with your time and it's with your money. The first option is do it yourself. Maybe you're handy, maybe you're skilled enough and you can take the project on. You've got some free time this summer and you don't want to spend quite as much money, then do it yourself would be the route for you to save on money but spend more time. The second option is self-manage. You would essentially be the general contractor. You don't know how to do everything yourself, you're not the handiest, but you do know a couple people. Scheduling those guys and making sure they show up on time and getting permits and getting them paid, and so kind of in the middle. And then we come to the third option, which is who we are at Custom Built, is design build remodeling company. And that means that if you want to spend the least amount of time possible, then we would be the choice for you. And that would mean that we would take on the service, we would do the work for you, we would pull the permits, we would be ordering materials and taking all these things off your plate. And some of these things can be extremely time consuming and they can take the joy out of the project. And we certainly don't want that for any of you all. Here at Custom Built, we often get asked about our process. It's really three phases. It's the dream phase, where we gather information. It's us having a phone call and visiting you in your homes and leading to a project proposal meeting where we capture the information from a high level so that we can give you some budgets so that you can know about what it's going to cost before you get started. And that brings us into our design phase. And this phase is really where we spend the bulk of our time and energy here at Custom Built, because we want to get things right, get our 3Ds put together, and to be able to get selections nailed down and make those big decisions before we swing hammers and before we demo anything, before we start building anything. We want you to be able to see what you're going to get, feel really comfortable and confident with that. And that brings us into our build phase. And so we're going to bring this space that you have envisioned for quite some time into reality. And then we do our final walkthrough. Clients will often ask, how much is my project going to cost? Sometimes we have to have conversations about why is it that you can't give me an exact number on this project? Why is it that you're giving these ranges? When we're first coming out on site and we're first getting to know your vision, some of the things that we take into account to give you these ranges are, what's the square footage? What does the existing conditions look like? Are there some things that are going to pop up during demo? What material are you looking for? Are you generally looking for a good or a better or best option? Because that affects the cost. That's why I think it's useful for us to not just come into your house, do a one-stop shop and give you a receipt and say, sound good, and hand you a pen. It's much more responsible and it makes things clear on both ends as we go through this to say, here's what we're looking at. Here's your range. How does that sound? That being said, I do want to give you our most up-to-date and accurate ranges for the different projects and services that we provide here at Custom Built. A Trex composite deck is going to fall somewhere between $30,000 and $60,000. Bathroom would cost you somewhere between $35,000 and $75,000. For a kitchen remodel, somewhere between $50,000 and $110,000. And for additions, you'd be looking at $100,000 on upwards. And finally, the last question is, how do payments work? 10% is due at the end of our dream phase, so you would be presented with the project development agreement and a budget range and a scope of work. And if we confirm all those things, everything's accurate, you're comfortable with that budget range, then we would take a 10% deposit and then we'd move into our design phase. The second of three payments would come at the end of the design phase, where we would present you with a fixed cost agreement. This is the sales agreement for the project. Then you would make that second deposit, which is a 50% deposit. So we'd be up to 60% at that point, and then we go through the build process, we build the space, and I would come and do a final walkthrough with you. At that time, I would collect the last 40%. And one note that I want to make there on that final walkthrough is something called substantial completion. It means the space is usable, the job is complete. There are some details, some final touch-ups that need to take place, but nothing that's going to make it so that you can't use this space. Hopefully I've been able to answer most of your questions, but if you're still curious to learn more, check out our Learning Center. There you'll be able to read articles that go into more detail about your upcoming project. I'm Colin with Custom Built. Thanks for watching.